Mario Kart Tour city tracks are infamous for being done to death in the Mario Kart 8 Booster Course Pass. These city tracks are all based on real-life locations, which may make them feel out of place in the Mario Kart universe. Although opinions are mixed on these tour city tracks, we can't deny that the Booster Course Pass itself wouldn't exist without them. So today, I'm going to take some time to rank all the tour city tracks from worst to best. Before we really get into the ranking, I'd just like to mention two tracks that won't be a part of this list, those being Roma Avanti and Madrid Drive. The common theme between these tracks is they are both currently unavailable in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, unlike the rest of the city tracks. So I won't be ranking these because I don't think it's fair to put them against the more polished city tracks playable in the Booster Pass. With that out of the way, let's get on to the worst city track. It can be pretty difficult to rank things in an order that you feel is right, but one of the only things I was 200% sure on was that Tokyo Blur is the worst city track by far. Not only does it look pretty terrible compared to the base game tracks and even others in the booster course itself, but Tokyo Blur also has a snooze fest of a layout and doesn't feel like a blur, more like a casual drive on the road, and a boring one at that. Tokyo Blur just feels like such a missed opportunity. Tokyo is a beautiful and bustling city, but this track just makes it feel like an empty, generic road. I groan whenever this course is picked online and I have to sit through a boring 2 minutes of nothing. The only slightly redeeming quality of this more than lackluster track is the music, which, like most Mario Kart 8 Deluxe songs, goes pretty hard. From one boring track to the next, New York Minute had potential. In fact, it used to be one I liked a decent amount, but that was before I realized how god ugly it is. I'll try not to talk about the poor aesthetics too much, since most every Tour City track looks ugly to mediocre at best. But other than that, New York Minute really has nothing going for it. It's a basic track that doesn't have anything that particularly sticks out to me. The music is fine, but not something I'd listen to in my free time. Honestly, there's not much else to say about this track. Another boring, basic, and not very good looking track comes next with LA Labs. There is once again nothing special about this track to me. The music is mediocre, but at least improved from whatever Tour's version was. As a whole, LA Labs is definitely not a track I'd go back to, but whenever I do, I'm reminded of how bad it is compared to the other city tracks. One big thing about this track is the ugly, plastic-looking oil field in the third lap. To me, Tour City tracks are supposed to represent specific cities in a positive light, but this doesn't feel very positive to me. Besides that, LA Labs brings nothing special to the table. This is the first city track that I don't hate. That isn't helping Amsterdam Drift much though, because in my opinion this is the most forgettable of the city tracks. When I went to make this list, this was one of the last ones I remembered. It's not all negative for Amsterdam though. The music is quite catchy and the track plays relatively good. It's fun driving through the dams, specifically over this waterspout that gives you a boost onto the boat. But the plastic flower field at the end is nothing to gawk at, and it feels almost like filler to me. An alright track, but not one I go back to often. This is the first track on the list that actually looks pretty good in terms of graphics. London Loop also has some really good music which only adds to the charm. It's a decent track that I'll play without complaints if it's picked online. This is overall a pretty mid track compared to all the other city tracks, but it's fun to race on once in a while. I also like how the change humps run free on the last lap. Paris Promenade was a track I actually used to dislike quite a lot, but with time I grew to like it. The music is alright, although not my style, but the track itself is quite fun to drive with lots of fun turns to execute. I found myself confused on where to go the first few times I played, which is probably why I didn't enjoy the course very much before. Paris Promenade was the first city track in the booster course, and the first track overall, which gives it a special little point for starting off a great DLC. Now we're getting into the city tracks I actively like and enjoy playing. Sydney Sprint was my favorite city track for a while, but it got beat up by 5 other courses eventually. That's not to say that my love for this course is gone though. Although it's not the prettiest course, Sydney Sprint has a pretty good layout and amazing music. There are some sections that could be better, but overall this track is a joy to play. Starting off the top 5 is Berlin Byways, a track with amazing music and a fun layout. My favorite part is the end with the graffiti walls and the womps that fit right in as obstacles. I will be honest, this track could definitely have been placed lower, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I've had a soft spot for this track ever since I first heard the music, which sounds incredible in both Tour and 8 Deluxe. I'd like to start off by apologizing to Bangkok Rush for not realizing how good of a track it really is. When I first played it, I enjoyed it a moderate amount and never really came back to it, but playing it back for this video made me realize not only how visually stunning this track is, but how fun it plays as well. Some parts of the chorus feel a bit tight or awkward, but that kind of thing shows up often in city tracks. Bangkok Rush is enjoyable nearly the whole way through and deserves more appreciation than it gets. Let's start off with a major negative. Although Athens Dash was released in Wave 5, the most recent wave, its aesthetics fail to live up to earlier courses like Yoshi's Island or 3DS Rainbow Road. The buildings especially look plastic and take away from the overall track. With that being said though, Athens Dash is a journey. The music evokes a sense of wonder and adventure as you drive through ancient Athens. And maybe you'll find yourself bumping into pillars or rocks jutting out, but you can't deny that Athens Dash gives a unique and fresh feel to the city tracks, which made me place it at number 3. However, I will say that Athens is honestly quite far away from how good the top 2 tracks are. So let's get into those right now. Vancouver Velocity is one of the most visually stunning tour tracks there is. The beautiful lights and snow paired with a nighttime setting makes this track a gorgeous masterpiece to play through. It doesn't stop there though. Not only are the aesthetics jaw-dropping, but the layout is so much fun. Driving on the twisting bridges and through the snowy landscape is already great, but going through the ice rink has to be one of my favorite parts. Just when you thought that was it, you hear the absolute banger of a music track start to kick in. The music fits this icy course so well, and it's a song I listen to outside of the game quite a lot. If that wasn't already enough, I'm a little biased because Vancouver is the one and only Canadian track in Mario Kart, which I will obviously love since I'm Canadian. Despite how incredible this course is, it is still beat out by one other. Singapore Speedway is the best tour city track and one of the greatest Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks overall. Every time I play this track, I feel joy from the layout, the visuals, and most of all, the music, which is one of the best Mario Kart songs out there in my opinion. You start off by gliding up to a roof with a pool, and then gliding off again through several boost hoops in the air. There's so much variety present in this track, from the Chinatown section with its own musical twist, to the forwards and backwards conveyor belts, to the beautiful water that you soar over. In my opinion, this is the #1 best tour track for its enjoyable layout, incredible music, and breathtaking visuals. Although there are some pretty terrible tour tracks, there are also some amazing ones sprinkled in there too. I can only hope that Madrid Drive and Roma Avanti are able to be just as incredible as my top picks when they make their way into the Booster Course Pass this holiday season. I'd love to see how your ranking the city tracks would go, so feel free to leave your lists or top favorites in the comments. Until next time, thanks so much for watching and have a great day or night.